Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bakhair Agale, Di Hao, Churashume, Washmale, Ohio, Good Zaimus, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal, Haleshumachatore, Ahlan Masalan Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabikap, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very full of energy, Shazad Khan and Shiza Hashmi. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely great, trying to like hop onto the energy factor as well. How are you
Well,
doing?
I think I'm doing great now, but early in the morning I wasn't feeling very well. I don't know
Why?
why, but as soon as I woke up, my mother woke me up, and I was like, okay, I think Shiza's going to be at work, so I should actually stay back at home. And then I was like, okay, it's just an hour's job. You're prepared for it. Get up, get ready, and just show up. And ladies and gentlemen, believe me that this is the whole concept of my life. And I think that everybody needs to follow this if you think that it is relevant with you. But I think that it has given me a lot to cherish over the years as well. And the simple rule is get up, get dressed, and show up. No matter how horrible you look, but you need to be there. That's about it.
Absolutely. And Shazad, should I tell you something?
Yeah,
To be
sure.
honest, like 100% same thing happened to me early in the morning. It's probably because it rained last night, so it was really cold. I was all cozy in my
Yeah,
bed, right? It was
yeah.
so hard to get out. And I was like, hey, I feel like I can really take off today because Shazad will handle.
Yeah.
And the same thought struck me. I was like, luckily I'm blessed with a work that only requires like 1 to 2 hours of my
Yep,
day.
yep.
So let's just do it because we do have a routine already, right? We're morning people. And if
Exactly.
I don't start my day with my work, then everything is like off my routine
Yeah,
chart. You
yeah.
don't know what to do next.
And
So
then-
well, that happened.
Yeah, and as soon as that hour is over where you were supposed to work, you start to feel guilty as well because after 1 hour you're going to get up anyway.
True.
But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, there are people who have worked day in and day out as well to make sure that we live in an independent country and that it is a sovereign state as well. And ladies and gentlemen, the person who actually envisioned the entire concept of living in a country was our spiritual father, Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal as well. It's his death anniversary today on the 21st, and we definitely would love to share one of the incidents so that you could actually know how great these people were. So imagine that Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, actually at one point in his life left the political party and went abroad. And it was Allama Muhammad Iqbal who actually went to him, talked him out, and said, hey, listen, if you're not going to do it, nobody else would be able to do it. So that's the legacy we have to actually look forward to. That's where we need to seek inspiration from.
Absolutely.
And ladies and gentlemen, the amount of work he's put in to make sure that the younger generations understand, I think today the message is very relevant.
Absolutely, Shazad. And if you look at his work now, of course, there's not a lot that I've read. I've read like just the one in my book or probably heard some songs that were actually adopted from what he wrote as well.
Yep.
There is like a clear message from his poetry and proses that he wrote. I mean, imagine someone living in the previous century as well, realizing how unique we are in terms of our identity, right?
Yeah.
As Pakistanis, as Muslims being Pakistanis as well. And then his work that speaks about, westernization and globalization and how we should not hop onto that, sort of bus as well because we have our unique identity too. I think it's just beautiful. I've met a lot of people from Egypt, from the West, a lot of areas who are actually inspired by his work, reading the translation of his work as well and, well, inspiring
And
other
ladies and
people
gentlemen,
too.
world over in different countries, there are libraries which are actually
Yes.
named after Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal as well. So I think that to get started with such an introduction and then followed by a personality who's given us so much to cherish upon, I think that we really need to look into his work as well,
Yes.
observe it closely, and majority of the work he's done is for the youngsters as well.
Yeah.
And this is the time when Pakistan actually comprises of 60% or more of youth as well. So I think it is very relevant. But not just that. I think that there's one more thing which they have focused upon, and the focus primarily was on education. Ever since Pakistan came into being, I think that all the messages we got was about educating our future generations. And they say that if you educated one mother,
Yeah.
I think that you've educated the entire humanity as well.
generation.
But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, because of the COVID-19 and this pandemic, I know that a lot of institutions are battling onto how to provide services, educational services to the students out there as well.
Right, and Shazad, you know what, when you're talking about what institutions are doing in terms of, coping up with this whole scenario, I think because this is the first time for everyone, not only the schools or the teachers, even for the students, even for the parents at home as well, of how to deal with the situation, and how to sort of, if everything is going online, how to be accustomed to that and how to actually make that the norm.
Yeah.
Because me being a student, I'm telling you, every other day whenever I have to appear in my classes, I'm like, oh, I wish we could go back. But again, there's a first time for everything and we have to deal with that too. So, well, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, there's a reason why we're talking about this. Ladies and gentlemen, every time, I went back to university because I did my bachelor's and then I had 4 years break and then I got back to do my master's as well, and it felt like as if I'm learning something new. And, going to an educational institution, it will definitely shape up your personality, but it will
Right.
definitely give you an enhanced ability of how to comprehend life, and I
Absolutely.
think that this is something very important. But we have discussed about schools, we have discussed about, O-level students, A-level students, and how GCSEs are not
Yes.
taking place as well, and that relevant grades are going to be given to them as well. But with universities, it's very different. If you do not appear in an exam, I think that it can go towards favorism as well. In universities, things like these can actually happen.
Yeah, generally
But
speaking.
yeah, but generally speaking, but for some, I think it was that point of time where they were getting done with their degrees and they had to look for jobs. Where the job market, that people who were currently working are sitting at home because
Yes,
of the fact that there's no
unfortunately.
work in private organizations as well, let alone the public ones as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think needs to be done? Was the idea behind it, and we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by some very amazing guests. Earlier, this lady was actually affiliated with another university, and then she left that, and then she's a dean of this university now as well, which is great. She used to be a student coordinator, and we used to be very young. I think that it brings back a lot of memories as well. And we used to go to her office, and she used to guide us. Okay, you can do this like that, and you can do
Yeah.
this like that. And she always used to take the lead. And these
Nice.
are the kind of people who have actually stepped up in their game, and they've made sure that their institutions are going to still provide quality education no matter what actually happens, so that the careers are not affected. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we are very lucky that we've actually been joined by the Dean and the Director at TMUC. She's an educationist herself. She's none other than Miss Khala Yaruk Malik. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good. This is a good morning looking at you. There was so much energy, both of you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much for
much.
joining us. When was the last time you met in your student
I,
coordinator
I
office on
think
third or
I,
fourth
I
floor?
think it was 2011, no, 2010, 11,
2010, 11
yeah, a
probably.
decade ago.
But I'm glad that you've taken out time and that you've joined us, and thank you
Yes,
very much for joining us alongside Miss
yes.
Khala. Ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by another educationist as well. She's none other than Miss Amina Imtiaz. Hello,
Hello.
assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, Shazad and Shazad. Thank you for the pump up of energy early morning. I think we're all ready for this.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. So let's get started. First of all, how do you think that COVID-19 has actually had an impact on higher education in the first place? Because I know that this scenario is very different from schools and colleges. And then we'll talk about it further as well. So first, how do you think it has had an impact?
So, well, I don't think the youth was, I'm a huge youth enthusiast. I always worked with the youth. I worked
Yeah.
with people like you. So, I think that the first thing that happened was obviously a lot of disruption. We've not had this kind of situation. I think World War II and now the largest lockdown, largest schools and higher education closing. So, of course, there's been a lot of anxiety. Students cannot go on campus. The higher education sort of halted for some time and then had to unlearn and relearn as to how to deliver this social contract. This is a social contract between the institutions and the students.
Right.
So, yeah, so everybody had to sort of go back to the drawing room or the drawing board and come up with ideas as to how to, seemingly see how can we provide its service, like you said, how can we help our students. And higher education is one, it's a complex the service. It's not something that, like you said, exams and students, yes, lots of things can happen. Yes.
Right, absolutely. And
Internals.
they've never been on hold, ever since I can remember, and probably before me as well. I mean, when you talk about annual exams and moving on to the next class, especially in, well, the matriculation and then the FSC as well, it never stopped, O-levels and A-levels too, because, well, your career, right?
Yeah.
It's the first time it's happening. What do you think the impact it has on students specifically?
Well, Shazad,
think
a
they're
good
happy.
question. Very good question. Yeah, no, I think we were
they're
ready.
confused.
You see, I think the public and private sectors have sort of adjusted to this tremor in their own special way. So public sector, maybe for them it was a new thing. A lot of universities and colleges not having their own virtual learning environment.
Right.
With us, I think we've been lucky because we come from a background where we're offering transnational education.
Oh, yeah.
And we have partner universities abroad who have their virtual learning environment all set and ready.
Right.
So when COVID hit us, I think we knew where to go from there.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you very much for mentioning transnational as well. And there's a reason why I'm going to pick up on this, and that is that for all of those people who used to study with us when we were in universities and who chose to go abroad to study as well, they eventually got back to Pakistan.
Yeah.
Almost
Yes,
all of them
true.
after 10 or 15 years of time. And obviously they were willing to get nationalities and whatnot after they completed their education, but they haven't landed themselves anywhere. I mean, it's not that majority, I think majority has not done it, but there is still a smaller number of people who've really done very well as well. So when we speak about transnational, and TMUC is actually affiliated with a lot of other universities outside the country. How does it work? Do you think that it is really recommended to go to these universities when we can still have the same standards over here? I personally believe
Well,
that.
I
And also,
first-
Khaled, please to begin
Yeah.
with, do explain to us transnational for
Yeah,
all
I'm
these
going to do
people.
that. So I thought that that's best because transnational education is when you're studying here in your home country, but your degree awarding body is in another country.
Okay.
So lots of names for transnational education. There's online education, there's distance learning, there's supported distance learning, there's remote learning, there's e-learning, there's blended learning. I mean,
Right.
there's lots of synonyms for it, and then they're slightly different on their own.
Okay.
What we do is we offer foreign collaborative programs here. So we have partnerships with the University of London, University for the Creative Arts, University of Hertfordshire, Pearson qualifications. But the one thing that we've done is we've shortlisted these universities, have partnered with them because of the fact that they're leading universities, 150-year-old university, all the teaching excellence frameworks are gold, their status, so the quality is assured.
Absolutely.
And the content is, for example, the academic directions coming from London School of Economics, Birkbeck, SOAS, Queen Mary, King's College. So I think the student in a transnational education is gaining +1, +2, +3. So you're a student who's studying in Pakistan in your home environment, with your parents, with in the comfort of your house, and then obviously working with institutions like ours that give them this right kind of infrastructure and the kind of environment. What the student is gaining is not only academic direction that's coming from UK universities or other universities which are at the top league table when it comes to Guardian or any other, and getting resources. For example, when we were talking about how the students being disrupted now will be getting that kind of education. Like Amna said, how was it easy for us to sort of move or shift or transition into online or supported distance learning platform was because we have developed over the years an intellectual capital for transnational education, delivering programs where you don't need to physically be there. However, we I think used MS Office and we MS Teams, and we shifted to all our classes online. Then there was a huge resource pool that we had online. There's access. When we partner with these universities, what the student is getting is actually access to their e-libraries.
Yes,
so all their research communications, their channels. So whatever the student is studying and getting resources in London, they will get here. So
perfect.
So it's a lot layers and layers of I would say benefits that the students getting.
That is amazing, and especially when you talk about the resources as well, because ladies and gentlemen, no, it's true, Shahzad, there are so many times when we are assigned things to, like assignments.
I had
and
another
whatnot.
reason to smile about what
Okay. And then, I don't know what that was, your reason.
Yeah, I just wanted to continue with what you actually said, and I think that the sole reason why I picked up on it is because the learning was very remote even then, so even there were students who were attending the university, they were still getting their courses from London or University of London, as you mentioned. So I don't think that it should have been very difficult to now kind of adjust with the changes we had to make.
The students were ready for it.
Yeah, so now what are we doing? So how does it work? Because in universities, teachers like taking sessionals, teachers like taking class tests. How do you think that do you think they're sleeping well at night these days?
Well, I'm sure there's anxiety at all levels, but I think that that's a good question. Assessment, we're all rethinking assessment. You've learned recently what Cambridge is doing. Exactly the same. All our international partners have gone back and said, okay, this is how. So there was a time then when online education, distance education, or coursework, or research, or assignments were looked down upon in Pakistan, still are. Even if you're not writing on a piece of paper, you're not going to be assessed, and assessment is not authentic.
And it needs to be these
It needs to be
piles
and piles. And
extra
sheets.
sheets.
Yeah, extra sheets, please. Yes, so that's changing, obviously, because the kind of assessment tools that we're using, and basically the student is taught to be an independent learner. So if I'm being assessed on something that I have to research on, this where definitely for the first and foremost developing critical thinking skills, analytical thinking skills, research skills, questioning skills. These are the skills that you kind of eliminate when you say chapter 1 to 8, these questions and past papers. And so that's going, that's all going. So I think
I'm
Pakistan.
happy for this.
I'm actually very excited because now we're rewriting the social contract and the social experience for the students.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I think Pakistan is going to have a pause button on assessments and then go back and see that there are other ways of assessing students apart from pen and paper.
I want
and
to
their
go back to
physical
uni
museum.
right
You know
now.
what? I really hope.
This is an exciting time
Yeah,
for all
it
the
is.
students. If you're a student right now, there's so much energy, excitement. Obviously, you find out that, okay, so all the exams are cancelled. That's good news. That's Christmas for the student
and
any
there's
day.
not going to be any assessment. So, you
No,
know,
but here's the
Exactly.
thing, you guys. Should I tell you something? Just yesterday, I was taking my online class, and my teacher took a quiz online.
Yes.
I mean, we didn't
Yes.
want that. And then he
Yes.
was like, I was like, how are you going to make sure that no one cheats? He's like, oh, open your cameras. I was like,
Yes.
how
Oh,
is
there's
that
so
going to
many-
help?
that- yeah,
Anyway,
that's
just
brilliant,
that's a
yeah.
good thing
it's
because
the
I-
teachers who still cannot help, yeah, but give quiz, you know.
But we are learning. So I'll just
Yeah.
tell you, I'll explain to you. So there are different dashboards, there are different ways of assessing a student. So when you're doing your, let's say, PhD, sitting here and somebody's abroad, how are they managing your learning and assessing you?
Yep.
It's the online presentation you give, the quizzes,
Right.
it's the formative assessment, which is the continuous assessment,
Okay.
which is going to help evidence that you've done really well, or this is where you stand.
Right, that's brilliant. But now, you know, Amna, I have a sort of a different question for you. When you talk about transnational education, it's a brilliant initiative. You guys did it, yes, and I really hope that everyone sort of joins in as well, because yes, that is the direction. But please don't take me wrong, but all the people, it's a culture in Pakistan. I think you will agree with me. If you did go abroad and came back with a degree from outside, you have an extra room for, you know, getting a better job as compared to someone who studied at
Or
XYZ
getting a
University
better
in
rishta.
Pakistan.
लड़का बाहर से पढ़ के आया है जी,
That
foreign
too.
से है.
To be honest, yes,
does
that too.
matter. That's
That
so true.
and
Yeah.
also
Better
a
job, better
So
Yeah.
when you say transnational education, does that sort of develop that kind of exposure to, as compared to the person who actually goes abroad, that kind of confidence, and then that kind of opportunities for the as compared to the person that did go to, let's say, London or anywhere in the world?
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
that's a
Good question. Shiza,
yeah.
you see, globalization has linked the world.
Right.
Be it industry, be it economy, be
Yeah.
it market, be it education sector. So I feel personally that the borders are going to come down.
Yeah? Okay.
They have in a lot of ways. They have
Right.
in a lot of ways. And why was there a need for transnational education when a student could easily fly abroad and do this?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you an example of how we started it.
Okay.
We had a pool of students who couldn't get the visas, couldn't get the placements that they were looking for, did not want to pay 6 times more the money, you know, that their parents
Yes.
would be investing, say, people from government sector, military backgrounds. I
Right.
mean, not everyone comes from the privileged classes,
course.
and why should they be deprived of a world-class education?
Yeah.
And why shouldn't they go to LSE, you know, and study a business program when we can bring LSE to them here in Pakistan?
We have one in Lahore too.
Yes, no, we're not talking about that.
We're not about London School of
I think
Economics.
that's Lahore
Yeah.
School of Economics.
Yes, why can't they gain an Oxford Brookes a degree, an ACCA, or anything that you would expect them to go abroad and gain? So I think that's one opportunity that TNE only can provide to students. They don't have to fly abroad. And then you see there's this other cultural concern that you were talking about. A lot of parents have a value system that they like to adhere to. They want to bring up their kids in a certain way. And learners at a very early stage, say at a school leaving stage, might not be ready for that cultural shock. And post 9/11, we've observed that a lot of students face discrimination and other issues while, you know, studying abroad. So that is one concern, that you know that your child is studying here with you in the comfort of your home,
Right.
and studying at a lower price, getting the same academic quality that they would in LSE. And the transnational education model is evolving. It
Yes.
started from small residential areas and little hubs in Pakistan, and now it has become this huge
TMUC has
phenomena.
a national footprint.
Yeah. So with TMUC, for example, our institution, we have we're the pioneers with offering purpose-built campuses,
Right.
personality and professional development programs, international opportunities, career development opportunities. So these are some of the things that students wanted, the international exposure that we have brought back to Pakistan. For them.
I think
So
that's great.
important.
But
Short
So
of Queen
important.
Elizabeth at the coffee shops, I think Pakistan has
I
everything.
think
The rest
that's
is
great,
on.
but I still have a disagreement over here. And you know,
I'd love to
whatever you
answer
guys
that.
are doing, that's phenomenal. That's wonderful. I'm not saying that it's not worth it. But there's this one thing which I've believed forever, and that is that, if you're going to be in conversation with people of not your age, not your skin color, not your origin, that's when you actually grow. So the entire motto behind going to or probably studying at Harvard or Oxford is to actually get to know all of those other people in your 30 other people in your classroom. Some might be friends, some might be from somewhere else, and that's how you groom yourselves.
And we don't discredit that at all. I completely agree
so
with
this
you.
is why what I'm going to ask is that this transnational program of yours, are we attracting foreign students to Pakistan? Okay, if the students are not going to go, if their parents are not willing to send them, we still have lower fee structures over here with the same degree. Are we kind of attracting the foreign students?
I think if you're in Pakistan and if you are a foreigner or if you're someone who's looking for quality education, again, with all due respect to all the other local qualifications that are being offered in Pakistan, I feel that we would be their number one choice because of the infrastructure. And we are long way away from what you're saying. That's the dream.
But it will happen.
But it will happen, and it should happen, because right now Pakistan is extremely like China, like Singapore, like India, Malaysia. Malaysia is an excellent example for transnational education of what they've done with their economy because of the borderless. They've actually opened their borders to transnational education. So Pakistan is going to reach that very soon.
Well, that's great.
Shazad, I know you have a question. I just want to add something tiny over here. The question you asked, I think it's fair enough for all the audiences to know the answer as well. And you did right. But I think I have to highlight one of the things that you said earlier as well. When you say that people, go to Harvard or XYZ for, the mere experience of that thing itself. Yeah. But again, not everyone is privileged enough. Yes. And I absolutely love the fact that people who can go will still go, but people who cannot, unfortunately for whatever reasons, will get the same content, the quality and the same degree over here in Pakistan.
Yes, there's no difference in
it is brilliant and it is beautiful as well. So, just to connect the dots very quickly now, what I want to know is, since for a lot of people the semester was going on when the pandemic actually hit us as well, so they are obviously not attending their courses, what will happen to them? And then from September onwards, obviously new semesters and new courses start. So now this transnational program, do you think will be providing online services and courses that people can actually enroll by sitting at home and learning or getting a degree?
I think that yes, like I said earlier, we switched to online learning and distance learning immediately because it was natural to us, and we've been offering it for such a long time. And the best part is the student does not lose an ear to COVID. See, the thing is, the message that should go out there is of hope, and the fact that there is a post-COVID Pakistan, and the student needs for us, people like us and the media are doing an excellent job, need to show the students that there will be a post-COVID future that they should get ready for. We're all planning for right now, but what about the future? What are you showing? So the student will not lose any time, no semester break, will not lose a year or any interruption in their academic life cycle, because, like I said, coming onto campus is not the only way to deliver quality teaching.
Thank God, finally, they have realized finally. This is purpose-built campuses. So, what do you think we are going to do with purpose-built campuses now?
She
just mentioned.
Yes,
we will come back to face-to-face.
We will come back to face. But let's say in situations like these, Pakistan should be ready for offering and not disrupting their students' learning at any point in time. That's what we should do. That's our responsibility, and we owe it to our students.
Well, that's great. And ladies and gentlemen, let me be very honest over here. It's not going to be fun studying online, and there's a reason. Because when you're in the class, you're sitting with your friends, you're at the back benches, it's a different experience altogether. I don't know whether it's a purpose-built campus for all of the students out there, but there have been recent videos of students learning online. And it's like 30 students in one frame, and the teacher's shouting, oh, who's making this noise, and she still can't figure out who the one is. So what kind of procedural methods have been adopted by TNEC?
I must say, excellent question. So we've had those issues initially in the beginning, but there are controls. I mean, learning management systems are so well developed right now. We have controls. So what the teacher has is control to mute all the students students when they're speaking, and or mute the disruptive one like
Or-
you.
okay.
So I'll just mute you. You won't be able to speak in the class for some time.
But
yes,
she
until you-
kept on saying, "Oh, I will figure it out. You know, your name's
I
over
think-
here."
I think
But you
that-
kept on saying it.
But I think we need to help her because we have those academic controls. I'll give you an example of mathematics, numerics. So our not all public sector or higher education institutions have digital tabs or anything. So what teachers did was, I mean, they're amazing. Teachers are amazing. We should always salute them.
Of course.
They came up with our teachers included went out and bought whiteboards, learned how to screen share. So just giving as long as there's teaching going on and learning going on, we're happy.
All good.
Yeah,
That's
well,
brilliant.
that's
That's
great.
brilliant. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for saying that, and also thank you so much for bringing this entire transnational education to Pakistan as well. But towards the end of the segment, Amina, you being an educationist, I want you to speak to all the students out there, not just TMUC, everyone
Yeah.
out there,
And
sort of talk. Sorry, Shazad,
Yeah, yeah,
so
it's
sorry
all right,
to
it's
cut
all
you
right,
off.
go ahead.
But tell them, like, sort of give them a hope of what is going to happen after the pandemic is over and how they should be ready to face that.
Shazad, that's
And I want to
good
add
thought,
to
yeah.
that as well, and it's a simple question. You know, so while I was in Air University, you were in Barrier, we were supposed to wear dress pants, dress shirts, and ties and whatnot.
Yeah.
So with online education, do you think that students are still required to wear like proper clothes, or you wake up and you open up your laptop and you're studying? Is
That is
that
what
is that how it is?
well, right now we're not really enforcing any laws there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so there's relaxation there. They're already going through so
Okay.
much. So we
Yes.
just want to make sure they're up,
Yeah.
they're living,
And they're studying.
They're studying.
So
That's
ladies
it.
and gentlemen,
Yes,
in days to come, I don't think a lot of students are going to take a shower, but due to COVID-19, you're actually requested to take shower at least twice a day.
Yes, and wash your hands.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So I think the message to all the students out there would be for those studying the undergraduate programs. I hope that your education, whichever institution you're going to, is uninterrupted. We at our end can only promise that it will be uninterrupted at our end. And I'm talking to school students now who will be graduating with their A levels, IB, intermediate. I know there's a lot of uncertainty because there are a lot of different examinations that you're going to sit for. So my message is that, you know, take those exams, come to us whenever you're ready. There are ways and provisions of enrolling students late. The portals will be open. So there are a lot of ways to get you on board. The teaching and learning will not stop this
Wow.
year.
Wow.
Pretty
That's great. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much, Khala. Thank you very much, Amina.
welcome.
And we're definitely proud of the kind of work you guys are doing. And thank you very much for making the world aware of how transnational education is actually having an impact in these days as well, and that to a positive one. It was wonderful to see you after years and years, and keep up the good work. Last time I met her, she was a student coordinator. This time I met her, she's a dean.
Next time she'll be a president, you never know.
Yeah, so I think it's great. But ladies and gentlemen, there's always a message embedded in the kind of shows we do. And other than this education, other than getting a degree, I think that reading books helps a lot, and readers are leaders as well.
Yeah.
So since today, it's the death anniversary of Allama Muhammad Iqbal as well. He's written quite a lot and very well for all the future or the younger generations as well. I think that we should actually take our time to study the kind of work he's actually provided us with, and it is truly for us, Mormons, Muslims. So yeah, please make sure to remember his work and remember him in your prayers as well. We're going for a short break, but when we guys will come back, we'll actually let you know what to do when you have so many hours to yourself.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to find out. Good morning.
The Phazon Mosque is the largest mosque in Pakistan. Located in the national capital city of Islamabad. Completed in 1986, it was designed by Turkish architect Vedat Daloki to be shaped like a desert Bedouin's tent. It It is situated at the north end of Faisal Avenue, putting it at the northernmost end of the city and the foot of the Margala Hills, the westernmost foothills of the Himalayas. It is located on an elevated area of land against a picturesque backdrop of the Margala Hills. This enviable location represents the mosque's great importance and allows it to be seen from miles around, day and night. The Phazon Mosque is conceived as the national mosque of Pakistan and is named after the late King Faisal bin Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, who supported and financed the project. It is the largest mosque in South Asia and one of the largest mosques in the world. The Phazon Mosque was the largest mosque in the world from 1986 until 1993, when it was overtaken in size upon the completion of the Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca, Morocco. Subsequent expansions of the Masjid al-Haram, the Grand Mosque of Mecca, and the Masjid al-Nabwi, the Prophet's Mosque in Medina, Saudi Arabia during the 1990s, relegated Phazon Mosque to 4th place in terms of size. Architectural wonders of Pakistan.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, with the very energetic Shazad Khan and Shazza Hashmi on PTV World, where we love to educate you. That is our pledge each and every single day when we wake up early in the morning. Well, in the first segment, we were sort of addressing a nationwide issue, the issue being online classes, how students should take it, how teachers are going about it, and the type of effort that is actually going into it on, organizing all these lectures as well, and then keeping everyone on board too. But right now, we need to talk about something on, how to relax during quarantine as well. Yes, education does go along, Actually, there is no time to learn, as in, till your death you keep learning. There's no specific time to learn, is what I mean to say. So creativity is something that actually flourishes your brain, nourishes your brain as well, and makes you study even better when your brain is healthy too. So Shazad, my question to you is, what is your way of letting out your creativity?
I think my way of letting out my creativity is, okay, I don't know whether I should say it or not, but I don't know. Letting out all of that energy which I do not require for myself. I work out, I go ride horses, I'll go, ride on bikes, but I do write lyrics.
Okay.
And so I write music, I write songs, and that's how I do it. But for other people, ladies and gentlemen, it can be different too as well. And I think painting is one of those very famous art types which people actually try, and but yeah, they only try, and they fail miserably as well. But ladies and gentlemen, today what we've done is that we've actually invited somebody who for the last more than 2 decades have been a painter, and within this time period which we got, we all of us have quite a lot of time to our hands as well.
While you speak, I'm just going to hold this up.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, I think today what we wanted to do was to let you know how you can be a good painter by just staying at home. And there's not much which needs to be done, but we have actually made sure to let her know in time and before the show as well that we want to give solutions which are very doable for people and practical ones as well. So we're going to share her work with you in the first place because it's marvelous, it's fabulous. Even though before the show started I thought of asking one of the pieces, but I don't think I'm going to do it because it's a lot of hard work. But ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by an artist, an educationist. She's none other than Miss Aysha Kazmi. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Walaikum assalam, and a very good morning to both of you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you very much for joining. It's wonderful to have you. But to get started with the conversation, I have a very simple question to ask you. And yesterday I was in conversation with a friend of mine who happens to be a painter, and I was asking, oh, okay, so what do you paint? And then, the response was very different. And she said that whatever comes to my head, that's what I paint. And I was like, you know, landscapes, cityscapes, you know, all of what I knew I threw in.
Right.
And she was like, whatever I feel, I paint. I mean, how does it work that whatever you feel, you paint?
See, Shahzad, I believe that when painters say that, you know, we paint what we feel like
Yeah.
is moreover connected with your catharsis. Moreover, it is a tool, it's an outlet of all your emotion and your feelings. Definitely the feelings
I
have
think
a
if
very
that's how painting is, I'm going to tear the canvas away, you know. That's the kind of rush I have inside me. Ah, yeah, that's it.
Sometimes this happens.
Really?
Sometimes when, you know, the children are making, or maybe the professional painters are making some kind of just stroke work, and
Yeah.
yet we call it contemporary and abstract, and some kind of a horse with some other colors which are not usually seen with
Yeah.
the horse. So it means that this is what we say, they have a different binocular, and
Yeah.
they have a very different perception of looking at the things.
Exactly.
So that lady is perfectly right. She is absolutely right when she says that we painters paint the way we feel. Yes.
Wow.
But you know,
Yes.
Aysha, this is brilliant. All of the work that you have brought
Thank
here,
you
it's
so
absolutely
much.
brilliant.
Thank
And
you
I
so
think
much.
you were right when you said, you know, art is actually all about catharsis as well. Because for me, of course, I cannot paint, but I wish to. Like, there are days when I wake up, I'm like, I wish I could make this on a paper, or, you know, just draw it out, and I cannot. But here's the thing. So, you know, I'm just going to sort of connect to the question that Shahzad asked. There must be days when you know, there's a happy wave, and then there are days when there's a low wave as well. So did you feel like there's a difference in pattern of what you draw? I mean, on the happy days as compared to not
Oh,
so
yeah.
happy days?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, you know,
In terms of colors, probably.
colors and choice of the theme and whatever you produce and what is the final masterpiece, the way you are connecting to that particular task, the somebody else might be looking at a different perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we all are having our own specs.
True.
And then we as human beings are also nature's beautiful creation.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
if we just go for the whole, you know, globe, all those trees and natural things are definitely the creation of the creator.
Yeah.
And they inspire you.
That is the biggest canvas ever, and we can see those creations with having different kind of aspects in it. And then when we absorb them, obviously 110% our mood has a very good connection with that.
Yeah.
Because as I said earlier, that it is one outlet. This is a tool that
Yeah.
you use to give your emotions an outlet.
But
Right,
you know,
absolutely.
you can always lose direction. I mean, I know.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Thank God that we are actually affiliated to an industry where we see a lot of artists. And talking about painters, you know, they've said it by themselves that, you know, we start with something else in our head, and after 2 or 3 days, depending on our mood, you know, the outcome is very
We change
different.
it, and
Does
it
that
becomes
happen
a
to
very
you?
different- Yes, obviously. See, during this quarantine period earlier when it started, and we all were really upset about this, so everyone was thinking that being a working woman, being a branch head
Yeah.
of a school,
Yeah.
so it's going to be a very different routine. All the
Right.
apprehensions were related to that, and everyone was thinking that, oh my God, that duration of my work
Yeah.
being available. You know, the very first initial week was very different. But then obviously the psychological pressure, the mental pressure, and then yes, it's all across the globe a scenario is going on that nobody can predict where it will end. So I decided that yes, being a painter, I'll start my paintings.
All right,
That's
which is
brilliant.
why
Okay.
we've thought about something very amazing. So we're going to show you your pieces of work, and you
Yeah.
have to let us know while you were painting these pieces, what kind of mood you were in.
Okay.
Okay?
all right.
So
okay,
yeah,
sure.
I'll start from here. So first
No,
up,
pick up that one. I think that has
first
more.
up this one.
Okay.
So then, you know, what kind of mood were you in when you were painting this one?
I was really happy,
Okay.
and it was a very nice evening. And after my workout, when I stepped over the weighing scale,
Yeah.
I have made it up to more than 1 kg. So definitely it
Wow,
was a very
that's good.
joyous
And
feeling.
ladies and gentlemen,
I love
I
it.
love it because of the fact that as soon as I've asked her, what were you feeling while you were painting this picture, she actually looked back at the picture and then let us know what she was feeling. Okay, so here's the other one. Yeah, with respect.
Okay, this is completely one of the scene of Bahria out of, if I go at the rooftop, so there are so many trees across the road and then I blended the shades. Nowadays, it's rainy and wet and the trees get their real shades once they are washed away.
Did you do it with a
So-
knife?
Or spatula or what?
No, it's a total brushwork. Total brushwork.
I can
Yes,
see
Brilliant,
this.
because being an impressionist Shehzad, sometimes with my brush even, it gives a very kind of, though I go for knife paintings
Yeah.
as well, but it gives an impression if it is, maybe it's a knife painting.
But
Yeah,
there's
that's
another
brilliant.
impression to it as well, because I've seen a lot of Mansoor Rai Saab's work, and he's a cubist. He believes in cubism, and that's how his work is. But you have a lot of squares and cubes over here as well. So is that what it is? And then first of all, what were you thinking when you painted it? Is it about mother's kid?
Yeah, there's almost a similar one over there as well. there
No,
must be a certain.
continuously on the TV, I was listening to that one terminology, social distancing and
Oh,
moving
yeah.
away from each other. So this is showing some family time, people
That mothers still
together.
can't be distant from their kids. I think that's what
sweet,
I get from it.
actually.
Well, this is great, and it's phenomenal as
Thank
well.
you so much.
All right,
Thank
so
you
Aysha, I'm
much.
going to ask you for all the artists out there as well, and all the aspiring ones as well. What are some of the most common paints that you use, or the tools that you use?
See, I go for knife paintings,
Okay.
and then brush paintings,
Yep.
sketching, acrylic painting, oil painting. Like a decade back, I was one of the very keen oil painter.
Okay.
I love to use oil paints.
Yep.
But then eventually your taste change and your mood change, and you try all the mediums. And as I'm dealing with all this as a hobby.
Yes.
It's not my profession. Being an educationist, yes, both things have a very close interconnection. So definitely when we are dealing with the toddlers and young children in the school, we prefer acrylic.
Right.
Because acrylic is one medium that it can be washed away because it's water based. So when the students work on the canvas with the acrylic, that inspire me, and then I start acrylic.
And Aysha,
as
one
you
of our-
said earlier, that it depends on your mood. Some
Yeah.
good days you want to just sketch somebody's
Yeah.
face. The other day you feel that yes, maybe a pencil work will work. In the beginning of the quarantine, I was doing a lot of watercolor
Yep.
because
Okay.
we've been short of resources and there was nothing available. So I thought that I picked up a sketchbook and start some
Yeah.
small, tiny miniature watercolors. And eventually, I started my canvases because I thought that I must paint some acrylics.
Wow.
That's nice. Aysha, so one of our producers happens to be a very amazing artist as well, and he has a query in terms of
And
oil
he's got a
paints.
YouTube channel with the name
Oh,
of
yeah.
DIY.
Yeah,
Babs
he
DIY.
thinks
Yes.
that oil paints can be frustrating in terms of drying late or probably spilling or whatnot. How can we deal with that?
Yes, you are right, Shehzad, that tackling the oil paint is little tricky.
Yeah.
Because once you are mixing the oil and the drying procedure, and then that harsh smell of
Oh,
the
yeah.
paint. That
To be honest,
bother-
I like it.
Some people develop allergies with that. But acrylic for the children, for the old people, for all of the people is the safest medium of paint.
Yeah.
It's the safest and the most cheap one and the most easy one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. And I think that towards the end of our segment, we would only like to ask you that for all of those people who actually want to do something, where do you think that they should start off? Watercolors, what kind of canvases do you think that, because I'm not into it, so I do not know much about it. So yeah, what do you want to say to them? Please talk in the camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my suggestion to all the people is this, that it's not only about painting. During these days, if you have any hobby, any passion, so this is the right time to pursue your passion. Rather than filling up your skull with all the negativity, why not to, being a painter, I can suggest painting. And being an educationist, my message for all the parents is this, that if your children are using these kind of small canvases, so the space for a child is enough, and it's a very adorable little thing. If the
Yes.
canvases are not available, what you can do, you can cut the little carton or cardboard pieces 4 inches into 4, and then you can give them those small pieces, and they would love to paint it once they have a specified space to work with.
That's
So
actually
my
a brilliant
message
idea.
is this, that paint if you like to paint. If you want to write something, this is the high time you can pursue your passion. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. This is my
Thank you
Thank
very
you so much for being
Thank you
here.
very much for
Thanks
being
a
with
lot.
us.
Love
It's
your
wonderful
suit.
to have you.
I had to say that.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so as you know, we always mention in our shows as well, we try to bring something inspiring to you. We try to bring people who inspire us. You know, the stories that we listen to, we come across a lot of them, Shazad,
Yeah.
right? On our social media pages as well. Our
Just
producers.
thinking about the conversation we had yesterday in the group. I think it was wonderful.
Yeah, that too. So, right, that's so inspiring as well to all of us. So we really hope that you take something away from this. And for all of you painters out there, well, I really hope you do share some of your brilliant work from the quarantine days with us on our social media pages. And for all of the ones who don't have a hobby or something like me, I actually didn't have a hobby as long as, you know, this quarantine did hit me. And then I was like,
I think
I
your
don't know what
hobby
to
is
do.
studying, actually.
Well, I hope
Yeah,
so.
you like it as well. And
Yeah,
then
to
you
be
top
honest.
it, and then you get 4 GPA. So yeah, it needs
I
to be a hobby.
try. So please do
Mashallah.
find out your hobby. And if you don't have one, just try, you know, doing something, probably bake something or probably just Instagram all day or just Netflix all day, whatever you want to, because there have to be some positive ways for you to, you know, direct your energy and channel your energy in a good direction too.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on Dailymotion,
Well, this morning.
on YouTube.
PTV World.
And then you will obviously have to look for World this morning as well. The fabulous repeat is going to be at 5 past 11 p.m.
tonight.
Till the next time, make sure that you take shower every single day,
Yes.
twice a day, wash your hands. Make sure that your hygiene is on point. And yes, once again, we're going to mention about information hygiene. Shiza?
So important, ladies and gentlemen, just stick to the sources that are true. Just make sure whatever news that you are going to forward, it is true. Make sure you're, again, the source is good.
Just cross-check.
Information hygiene just means you keep yourself safe from all the negativity going around and all the, well,
Fake news.
yeah, fake news.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. Stay blessed. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.